The ultimate and concluding lecture in the series, however, I do not perceive it as a sad occasion because I will be staying with the company in its entirety and will maintain constant communication. And on this day, the focus of this lecture will be dedicated to exploring the personal reasons behind the question of why, because that is how it transpired, I suppose. I myself made the choice to embrace openness and face a multitude of questions from colleagues or our newly onboarded colleagues who always sought guidance from me as they joined the company. You know, it is customary for us to always have a meeting with the search engine optimization SEO team and newcomers in the company. I believe this tradition will be upheld. I have always come across numerous personal questions regarding energy, meanings, and motivation, which demonstrate the enduring relevance of these topics. And today I would like to share with you such a collection of my subjective thoughts, subjective experience. I feel obligated to mention from the outset that I do not lay claim to any form of objectivity, as I will be exclusively sharing my personal perspective and experiences. This is an excellent exercise because it compelled me to sit down and contemplate. I do not have answers to a multitude of questions. I most likely will not be able to explain something the way I feel, but I hope that today's lecture will bring you value and inspire you to reflect upon the subject matter that is being presented. You have the freedom to contemplate during my presentation and inquire about any concerns once I have concluded speaking. As is customary, I will be more than happy to make an earnest effort to provide my subjective responses to them. I will commence with the business section. In general, how did I become involved in the realm of business? How did our company come into existence a long, long time ago? How did I transform into an entrepreneur and start my own business? Generally, I didn't intend to become a businessman. I didn't sell newspapers or wash cars like numerous entrepreneurs did during my childhood. I dreamt of being an archaeologist in school. I achieved my dream. I joined the history faculty of Sektovkar State University. After graduating, he pursued further studies in graduate school. And it was the path I personally chose. It was the dream I had always envisioned and aspired to achieve in my life's journey. Here you see I am participating in one of the expeditions in the polar Urals, taking part in an exciting adventure of boat rafting along the Kaji River. However, something went awry, and there were a couple of factors that contributed to it. But one of the factors was that I read this book, Victor Pelevin's Generation P. This book truly transformed my life because I unearthed marketing, I unearthed creativity, the realm of advertising opened up to me, and it fascinated me to such a great extent that it is such an unbelievable field where individuals come up with interpretations, generate brands. The origin of this book can be traced back to an imaginary tale about the competition between Coca-Cola and Pepsi. The narrative commences with a duo of primates, namely two monkeys, setting the stage for the unfolding of the story. A monkey is given Coca-Cola to drink, while another is given Pepsi to drink, and they want to observe the changes that will happen to them after a certain period of time. And here we can observe that the monkey, which consumes cola, initiates the process of stacking cubes. This behavior exhibited by the monkey demonstrates certain signs of intelligence. What actions did the monkey take? Who consumes Pepsi? And she travels in a car with two girls to reach the beach. And so it is. This is the way the book about the creator Vladlen Tatarsky starts, with these very words. Actually, this book immersed me in marketing. I started reading marketing books. I started reading the magazine Secret of the Firm, which was published many, many years ago, and it was largely about marketing. And so I got into business. Actually, I started working in the advertising field in an advertising agency, then worked in a large hypermarket in Saktovkar, and then returned to advertising. And in the end, I decided to open my own business. What was my motive for starting my own business? In truth, I earned a good salary in Saktovkar, working as a commercial director in an advertising agency, but I had a strong desire to create my own advertisements and advertising campaigns, which led me to venture into entrepreneurship. By the way, I collaborated with Elena Danchikova and Semyon Bolotov, who are currently employed at Dodo during our collaboration. We've worked together for years, and we found that many of our ideas were impossible to implement despite our efforts and collaboration. The ideas seemed cool. I decided to start my own business. The main motivation was to have freedom in implementing my own ideas because I wanted to do things the way I see them, wanted to create things the way I see them. And here you see, right in front of you, this kind of merchandise, t-shirts that are available at my bookstore called Power of Mind. By the way, here is my nickname on social networks. It is directly connected to the name of the bookstore. Not that I think of myself as overly intelligent. These are t-shirts made from the pages of actual great books that we sold in the bookstore. They are a unique way to celebrate literature and bring it to life through wearable art. And actually, this chance to implement bold, interesting ideas that I couldn't implement, maybe with a conservative business environment, they pushed me to do business. And from that point onwards, all the openness emerged like, in all probability, crazy enough, I am currently reflecting on what motivates me in the realm of business activities. The main one has always been, but not the main one, but the main one. In general, probably nothing has changed since the times. The most important passion in archaeology is to create, to discover something new. In principle, the startup and the dodo path in the initial years is a true expedition because it is quite perilous and fraught with danger. You need to calculate resources, constantly be paranoid, and anticipate that something might go wrong at any moment. Overall, I believe this passion for expeditions, for adventures, definitely matched the startup spirit and its adventurous nature, and overall in business, I got it slightly. Another important motivation for me has always been that life is finite and short relative to the history of mankind, or even the history of the planet, this little spark. I want to live this life in an interesting and exciting way, doing what takes my breath away. Perhaps I have always had the motivation since my early years to do something fascinating and live life in a highly interesting manner. During the process, when it was too interesting, I said one should live in a way that would be boring in the movies. Another important driver for me has always been the ability, as I have already mentioned, to create and implement something, to implement ideas. I generally believe that it is truly a miracle that we are given the opportunity to create something. I will still talk about it today because in business, you always, when we, for example, come up with some new project, when I see an application, for example, in the form of interfaces, and it has just come out conditionally from the product managers and designers' mind, and they showed it on the screen. And when it becomes a product, it's always a miracle to me. Or when I come to an open pizzeria and realize that just half a year ago, it was just ideas in our heads. And here, with the help of our efforts, resources, money, and a large number of people, we achieve tangible results. This consistently provides me with a feeling of enchantment and in reality brings tremendous joy to the business. The primary motivation for me was to modify the course of events. Do you have an understanding of what I mean by this? When commencing a business in secrecy, it appears to you that the entire destiny, the world surrounding you, indicates that it is merely unattainable to construct something larger, that you possess a specific trajectory that is inherently predetermined for you, and you are unable to alter it. And business presents the opportunity to change the trajectory of things. We have the ability to create new markets, to enter markets where they say it is impossible, and in general, to achieve our goals and aspirations. Our entire history is a narrative about the fact that there truly is nothing that is impossible, and it has always been of utmost importance to me. Profit, profit has consistently been solely a prerequisite for the survival of a business, a prerequisite that prohibits the establishment of anything moderately or long-term without competitiveness and efficiency. That's life, that's reality, and you must learn to be efficient, profitable, as profit enables business to exist and create further opportunities for growth. You know, I frequently emphasize that profit is not the primary goal or ultimate aim of business enterprises. This is a widely held view. However, it is an illusion, as profit is not the ultimate goal, but rather a necessary condition for the existence of a business. If there is no profit, there is no business, and every individual has a distinct goal, which lies somewhere beyond pragmatic business endeavors. This is implementation. For someone, it is freedom. For someone, it is independence. For someone, it is the realization of some dream to change something in their life. And profit, of course, is an indicator that what you are doing is truly essential for this world, essential for the well-being of people. It is in demand, and it is efficient enough to exist for a prolonged period of time, because everything that is unprofitable simply will not exist. I am often asked where I get my energy from. Well, probably the short question is that a certain level of energy, I will also talk about it today, is some kind of genetic predisposition, but at the same time, I can reflect, identify some of my own methods and approaches that I have developed during this path, the business path. First, for me, meaning always gives energy, understanding what I am doing, why I am doing it, what value it brings. And it is extremely important when you comprehend the value, then the challenges that you experience, obstacles, you just cease to notice them. This is an excellent idea. It surpasses mere meaning. And naturally, this entails responsibility. As I comprehend that in vision, our company has been non-profitable for a duration of 70 years. And I assumed responsibility for him in front of investors, in front of people, in front of employees. And this responsibility, when I say something that I'll do all to do it, it was important for me. She certainly gave energy because you just can't give up. And of course, the goal. When the goal is big, when it is inspiring, when you just simply want to reach it with excitement and interest. She gives energy, really allows to overcome difficulties in the process. Well, of course, the path, the process itself. Look, I believe that if you don't enjoy the journey itself, you will never reach the goal because you will suffer, lose energy. And the process of creating and developing a business for me is a process connected with happiness because you constantly get endorphins from what you do. You implement ideas. But probably it will be said that often business processes are boring or they are not liked. And actually, in my practice, there were a tremendous number of periods when there was a great deal of boring and challenging work. Furthermore, I believe that one of the factors for the company's success and myself as an entrepreneur is that I was able to go through this work, do it, and handle this difficult, tedious task. What was my approach? I heard a very intelligent word, reframing, not too long ago. Reframing is when you observe something and alter your perspective or mindset towards it. You wake up in the morning and see that the weather is bad, and you can get upset, or you can change your attitude towards it and say that you will find something beautiful in this weather. I will go for a walk in the puddles. Attitude towards problems. You can consider the problem as something that hangs over you, or you can consider it as a task that will make you better, like a case that is interesting to solve, which will allow you to improve your experience. An example of reframing is how Tom Sawyer painted the fence. And you remember, yes, it's kind of a boring job, but actually imagine that you're painting a fence and the paint gradually settles on the boards, and the process itself is so meditative and captivating, and you want to see the result as soon as possible, that it can really become an enjoyable activity. And in general, I always tried to find interest in any work, looked at it differently. Some financial tables that I never really liked, or repetitive operational routine, even if it was a task I didn't particularly enjoy. And I will provide you with another instance of reframing. You are aware, during childhood, the entire world appears to be different. And no matter where we grew up, in any yards, streets, everything looks happy and beautiful in childhood. And when I lived in Syktyvkar, by the way, this is a photo when I grew up in Syktyvkar. This photo was taken by Ilya Varlamov. And when he came to Syktyvkar, he asked me to show him the city. Then I was already a well-known business blogger. Photo from his tour. Syktyvkar looked like probably during my childhood, but in the 5th grade, I read The Lord of the Rings, and at some point this Syktyvkar probably, which may not seem very comfortable to someone, but for me it became Middle Earth. So I walked around Syktyvkar, and it seemed to me that I reframed myself in Middle Earth. Therefore, I believe reframing is powerful. Sorry for the Buddhist analogies, I will come back to this later today. I hope that nobody gets scared at this moment. However, according to the teachings of Buddhism, samsara, which refers to our ordinary existence, and nirvana are actually identical. The only difference lies in the way we perceive reality. Reality doesn't change, our perception of it does. Therefore, when you change your approach, you start spending less energy because you don't need to spend energy on forcing yourself to do disliked work. Another valuable aspect is to eliminate from life all the things that tend to drain energy and rob us of our vitality and enthusiasm for living. I had a multitude of such stories. Let's assume that I had been a regular smoker for a considerable amount of time while I was working in the book business. At a certain point, I realized it takes a lot of energy from me. She is not infinite, but requires a substantial amount of it. And giving up smoking was extremely challenging because I had to exert a lot of effort. However, upon doing it, I came to the realization that the experience provided me with a tremendous amount of strength. And here I would like to emphasize that any qualitative change always requires effort and dedication. The same applies to sports. I did not enjoy participating in sports, but at a certain point, I made the decision that I should develop it into a regular practice. In the beginning, it was incredibly tough for me to muster the motivation to get out of bed each morning and make my way to the gym or go for a run. It was challenging, it required exertion. However, there was a remarkable jump in the condition. I understand that this gives a huge amount of energy, that I have reached some new qualitative level. I really like the metaphor is such that Baron Munchausen extricates himself out of the swamp. I believe this is an extremely motivating image when you are able to elevate yourself to a higher level, but you truly need to exert effort and comprehend that it will be challenging. It will not be simple, but it will be rewarding and beneficial in the end. Well, an important, definitely my subjective insight, which I confirmed from my own personal experience, is that your physical and mental state are closely interconnected and have a significant impact on each other. It's not surprising that the ancient Greeks believed in the unity of body and spirit. This belief is supported by scientific evidence, as researchers have shown that our brain, hormones, stomach, nutrition, and sleep all have a significant impact on our overall state of being and well-being. And everything is interconnected, it can't be separated, and thus, precisely when I began to ponder more about my lifestyle, when I commenced participating in sports, when I initiated refraining from overeating and maintaining balance, I unquestionably acquired more energy. Frequently asked question, what is important for efficiency? What is more important, discipline or energy? Discipline is a specific system. Therefore, you know how to plan with great efficiency, you do things correctly, and utilize methodologies. What is more important? I'll tell you, you won't get far in this discipline. I understand that, of course, primary energy, because energy is some kind of fuel. Energy is practically will, our ability to do something. And this is fuel, and the system is a machine. And if there is a beautiful car, there is a super system, but there is no energy that depends on the meaning, on your physical condition, on your attitude towards what you do, then no system will work properly. But at the same time, the mechanism is also important. You see the engine of a Formula One car, which looks incredibly beautiful. You comprehend that if you pour the same quality fuel into this engine as in the other one, this engine will operate more efficiently. Thus, the system, naturally, is also of significance in this context, but energy takes precedence. Over the duration of 12 years, there have been numerous challenging moments in the business field and a significant amount of stress. Entrepreneurship and responsibility always entail a certain level of stress and demand a high degree of accountability. Generally, we cannot exist without stress. An individual is like that. Our nervous system, the body is prepared for a specific level of stress. However, business is always a responsibility. Regardless of whether you are responsible for the company or the product, there are always deadlines and people involved. And in my narrative, there were numerous instances of perfect storms where all the challenges occurred simultaneously. You are encountering problems in your business, a few key individuals are departing from your team, and you are facing the challenge of managing your debts effectively. I have been in a very difficult situation, and I will share how I personally psychologically coped. I have not had the chance to go to psychologists or psychotherapists in general throughout my life up to this point. In general, maybe here, once more. I believe this is a cool solution, but it did not work for me, and reflection has always assisted me. I have a method called the city principle method, which means that when you have many problems, you don't try to solve them all at once in small portions. You tell yourself, I will break everything down into parts, prioritize and solve one bed after another gradually. So until you solve one problem completely, you do not move on to another, even if everything is on fire, screaming, and you cannot extinguish the fire everywhere simultaneously. So you act gradually and prioritize based on the urgency of each situation. And gradually, from priority to minimum priority, you start to decide you have a focus. And it really works. When I still had a huge number of problems in the book business, I didn't know what to do. I created a list and began working through it. My second recommendation is the principle of taking action. When it is difficult, when there is stress, frequently your hands drop and you descend into a state of stupor. The identical circumstances in reality. Business is comparable to extreme expeditions, particularly when it comes to startups. Events are unfolding in the mountains with climbers. The most detrimental thing individuals can do is to fall into this state of stupor, this lack of action. Because when you do not know what to do, you simply start taking action, and you gradually gain a sense of control over the circumstances of reality around you. You do not fall into depression, and further in the process, you begin to come to yourself, acting in accordance with the principle of a garden. In any case, you don't fall into a psychological pit. Therefore, only when I found myself in complex, stressful situations, I simply said I would do something understandable, simple. If I don't have an answer now, it's okay. The main thing is to take action, and the answer will come later. And I succeeded in passing in this manner. Well, and it appears frightening for those who are unaware. I even possess a samurai sword in my hand, which serves as a reminder of the samurai philosophy. In fact, a samurai always had to be mindful of death, signifying that you should once again distance yourself from thoughts of mortality. We'll return to this later. It's about an entrepreneur's thoughts on bankruptcy, for instance. Or you comprehend that the project may not work out, and you have an understanding of the psychological aspects of how to behave in such situations. You know this isn't a catastrophe and death. Everyone dies, everyone is mortal. So you're already experiencing this fact. And this enables you to release some anxiety that generates stress in the present moment. And when my business was on the edge of bankruptcy, and when we had a situation at Dodo where we couldn't attract investments, and there was only enough money for 2 months, it was a very difficult situation. I understood that everything could collapse. I just sat down and stated that if stress crushes me at this moment, nothing else will be able to get through. That's it, it's the end. I just need to survive. What if we go bankrupt? I told myself that nothing catastrophic would happen. I will stay alive. This is business. I won't abandon anyone. I will save the reputation. And this understanding that I have already lived through it gave me the opportunity not to fall into this stress. Why? Concluding the business blog, why am I leaving the SEO position that I have been in for such a significant period of time? I have already mentioned this, but it is important to reiterate in this lecture series. I believe it is necessary for the company. From my perspective, the company holds immense importance, resembling an entity that already possesses a life of its own, and I actively contributed to the establishment and growth of this company. I am pleased, and I want the company to continue to thrive. As I have already said, A company that depends on its founder will not survive without the founder. Thus, it's crucial for me that the company achieves independence, autonomy, vitality. Thus, I am of the opinion that this is significant. One crucial point to consider is that I am fully aware that each individual has their own life cycles, and organizations at this particular phase of development require additional energy, more enthusiasm, and a greater sense of purpose to thrive and succeed. And the current state I'm in, my plan is to engage in business, assist the company, and contribute to its success. I must be in a different position in the company. Now I want to discuss personal development, meaning, and understanding life. Once again, it's so transpired that I am perpetually open to new experiences and ideas. Therefore, I will most likely delve into extremely personal moments of my own. I will make an effort to elucidate it in a manner that is easily understandable and relatable to others. Generally speaking, in all likelihood, over the course of the past few years, I have found myself in a state of contemplation, actively seeking answers to the questions that deeply intrigue and fascinate me. And I have a rather fascinating experience. The duration of my time at Dodo was at least 12 years. Probably, if you stretch it, it is a lot of events. In Dodo, probably for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 4 years, and so on. I went to study. At some point, it was important for me to find answers for myself to some very global questions. So, there comes a time in your life when it is of utmost importance for you to obtain answers to these questions. And as a person with such a scientific mindset, consciousness, I went to read everything. And I have read a plethora of books, including religious, philosophical, and scientific ones from various disciplines. Ultimately, my worldview was likely influenced primarily by the scientific view of the world, how science sees reality in the present day and in the end. And from the perspective of explaining the world, I am closest to the philosophy of Buddhism. I would like to remind you that Buddhism is primarily not a religion, but rather a philosophy that attempts to explain the world in a logical manner based on the observable evidence and the information that is available to us as human beings living in this reality. What have I come to? These are, fragmentary, some of my subjective insights, conclusions. In the beginning, speaking from my own perspective, I arrived at the realization that one of the primary foes of our happiness is our own ego, which declares that we are superior to others, thereby necessitating a constant comparison of ourselves with someone, with a particular model, with an ideal, ceaselessly in the present moment. The ego, which is the sense of self that prevents you from fully experiencing the present moment and inhibits or hampers your ability to find happiness and fulfillment in life. I will not say that I eliminated the ego. This is not a true statement. This is not such a complicated process. I'm not saying that I have achieved anything, but I definitely realized it. I reached the conclusion that everything in the world is unified. We are all highly interconnected and interdependent. There is a question, who is more important, an entrepreneur or a team or a company? I recently came across a philosophical concept known as emergentism. Could you please explain what emergence is? Upon the realization, I came to understand that prior to this, I had somehow failed to fully grasp the true essence of reality, which serves as a determining factor in various aspects of life. An emergency refers to the existence of properties in a system that are not present in its individual components when considered separately or independently. And what does it mean in practical terms? When you encounter a chariot, and if you deconstruct it into its constituent parts, each component forfeits its inherent property of being a part of a larger system or structure. Let us make the assumption that a house is simply a structure made up of bricks that are carefully arranged in a particular sequence. This sequence of assembling the bricks is crucial in creating the house. Each brick is strategically placed to ensure stability and durability. Therefore, the construction of a house involves the precise arrangement of these bricks to form the desired structure. In fact, the way in which this sequence is assembled is some information, and when combined, it forms a home. And the company is also composed of a substantial number of individuals, and each of us, on an individual basis, does not have the impact that we can achieve when we work together as a collective. And if you take a look at the entire Dodo ecosystem, just imagine it's comprised of 40, 50,000 of our colleagues working in pizzerias, along with our partners and suppliers. It's truly a big, big system that involves a wide network of people and businesses. When combined, it creates a collective that possesses something that none of us have on our own. As an entrepreneur, I possess certain talents and competencies, which in general are not my merit at all. The level of stress resistance and energy that I have is not something I acquired, but rather a gift given to me from birth. These innate qualities play a significant role in my ability to handle the challenges and demands of entrepreneurship with ease and determination. The possessions I have are definitely not the things that belong to me personally. This is not something that belongs to me on an individual level. In fact, all of this led me to the understanding that everything is essentially unified. The whole world is one. Again, probably in a business lecture, all this sounds very strange, but it's very difficult to convey. But actually, I came to this from two sides, and from the side of philosophy, from the side of science. Because science also indicates that we are all interconnected. And, here is in all likelihood the most difficult question: what is the meaning and purpose of life in the grand scheme of things? And it is astonishing that a few years ago at one of our New Year's celebrations, I had a performance, and I was simply surfing in the ocean just prior to that and contemplating a great deal, allowing my mind to wander and ponder various thoughts and ideas. And in fact, I had no further comments on the business. As a significant number, the team of leaders, colleagues have already provided a comprehensive overview of the strategy, and I made a performance about life. I went outside and wanted to share my insight with others who could benefit from it. What is the meaning of life? I responded. The meaning of life is to exist. And there was sufficient silence in the hall. I believe a lot of those who watched were present at this meeting. What in fact, Fedor went insane. This is a banal thing. However, in reality, I firmly believe that the purpose of life is to exist and experience it fully. Due to the study of science and philosophy, it has led to the realization that none of us possess the ability to accurately find meaning in life, leaving us in a perpetual state of uncertainty and existential questioning. Generally, maybe this is a human story, to search for meaning. We try to explain everything with our brains, but everything is actually more complex than we think. And for me, life is an enigma that we explore daily, unearthing new revelations, navigating this unique path of existence, making discoveries, and embracing the inevitable changes that come our way on this extraordinary journey. This is the meaning. From a natural perspective, we are all humans. If we take a scientific approach, we are essentially just containers designed for the purpose of transmitting genes. That is, nature does not require our happiness, because our primary goal is to pass on genes in order to ensure our survival and perpetuation of the species. Thus, our nervous system is constantly and consistently in a state of readiness, always prepared and poised to respond to any and all stimuli that it encounters. And we must simply preserve the genes for life. The wonder of human life, in my opinion, is that we possess the ability to make choices. Thus, we have the ability to modify something. If a flower, which undergoes growth, can hardly alter anything, then it is evident that we truly possess free will and the power of choice. And this, I believe, is the most magical thing we possess. We have the power to modify ourselves and the process of modification. It is an incredibly awe-inspiring process of transformation. We can change the circumstances around us, we can change the world, we can create, we can build something, create, we can come up with something, and simply from ideas originating from nothing, something will inevitably manifest and come into existence in the realm of reality. We focus on aiding products and businesses. Our goal is to assist individuals and have a beneficial influence on the planet. This freedom of will, is not about being free from everything. In this sense, we are not completely free, because we do not choose where to be born. We choose our body, how we will look. We choose our health. In truth, any of us can fall ill with something tomorrow, and it's not within our control to select. That's why we have responsibility. It appears for us. But freedom lies in the fact that we choose how to act in these circumstances. And this is amazing, and this is genuine freedom and the enchantment of human existence as it appears to me. What, from my perspective, from my emotions, brings joy, which is also a highly subjective concept. What is happiness? This is the path. This is precisely the experience that we live because this is our experience. Therefore, I have never been attached to things in general, and I am quite indifferent to them because it is not what we carry with us. We carry with us experience, impressions, knowledge, emotions, because every moment we are different, because we are accumulated. From the point of view of our consciousness, personality, we are our accumulated experience. And experience is life itself. As the great Job said, who, by the way, I encountered through completely different paths, he was highly interested in Buddhism, emphasizing that the path taken is the ultimate reward and that the journey itself holds immeasurable value, shaping us in ways we cannot foresee. And the path is development, and the process of development is incredibly fascinating to explore, to undergo, to transform into something new. And from my perspective, some, as I have already stated, qualitative step forward into the new, it is always associated with stepping out of the comfort zone, which is an essential aspect. Getting out of your comfort zone is not scary, it's good. And pain is not scary because our life is not only pleasure, it is also pain. I will provide you with a small and banal example about myself. You wake up, let us say, at 5 in the morning when it is still dark outside. And I will provide an example from the activity that has been fascinating and captivating me a lot lately. This is surfing, and you need to go to the ocean. He is cold, you do not want to get up. You make efforts, you force yourself. After a while, when you enter the water, you realize how happy you are, how this departure from the comfort zone provided you with something new, and you are aware that it also impacts others around you. I'm certain everything's developing within limits, and we've developed our business within limits, and nature always develops within limits. This compels you to search for solutions, compels you to develop, and compels you to change. So let me share a little about our business and my aspiration for our company to always be mindful of these limitations we face. And the identical principle applies to life. Limitations are consistently perceived from a positive point of view. Moderation, not to go to extremes. And actually, not to go to extremes really, not limiting oneself to the maximum. That is, to live fully, not limiting oneself in anything. I am absolutely positive that happiness is not in any way, shape, or form connected to the sheer number of material possessions that exist in your immediate vicinity. And I even know that, you know, I caught myself thinking, such a reflection, that you, for instance, used to stay in some good, comfortable hotels. And here, once you locate yourself in a one-star hotel, all of a sudden you become discontented. And you always say, damn, am I truly becoming reliant on external factors? And this determines my current condition. In happiness, very little is required. I always comprehend it when you go to a forest expedition and then return and realize that warm water is such a source of happiness. But in general, actually, just to breathe and live, this is already happiness. Well, I will conclude with the same thing. Here is a portion. Look, once upon a time, whether I dreamed it or read it somewhere, but I still have not found the author, that phrase was spinning in my head, that in life there are three important things. Those things are love, music, and war, which hold great significance. I understood them to mean that love is love for the world, for people, for everyone, for reality. Music is art. It is not necessarily music. It is something that we instinctively desire to create, irrationally produce and develop products, build something tangible. This is a process that absorbs creativity, and war is a form of competition. It is a form of competition. And here are three worthwhile things. I will tell you that I understood gradually. At some point, I realized that war had completely stopped playing, that for me, some meaning is competition. And in life, only two worthwhile things remained: love and music. Here, what am I going to do next? I remain a shareholder of the company, which is crucial because shareholders have a significant influence on various aspects such as strategy, culture, and strategic decisions, shaping the direction and outcomes of the company's operations and overall success. This is a crucial role and mission, so I will be in close proximity. And, as a matter of fact, my mission is to ensure the company stays with me at all times. Hence, I have no intention of selling the shares. I intend to remain a shareholder for the foreseeable future, or until a specific point that I am able to anticipate. I will be working on the board of directors. Our objective is to establish a highly efficient and robust board of directors that provides valuable assistance in terms of SEO and supports the team in achieving our goals. In the near future, I will work as a consultant for startup companies. I will give aid to Drinkit to some extent from the side, utilizing my expertise and experience. I am going to provide assistance to Kepster, our youngest startup, in order to facilitate its development at this moment in time. And of course, I will go surfing because it is also a way, something new for me. And it is also the magic of life, opening up some other spheres that I have not explored before, providing an exhilarating experience that will undoubtedly create lasting memories. And I already mentioned yesterday that my intention is to become an entrepreneur, serving as a partner of Drinkit on the beautiful island of Bali. Where could it be located? The goal is to have some business and work and be able to come to Bali, a beautiful place where you can surf. And at the same time, it was a win-win. And I gave it, and it helped Drinkit and our whole company move forward. What's next? What's next? I don't know. Because actually, I'm happy. I like not knowing what'll come next. I believe there are numerous interesting things in this, and I anticipate it will be an extremely intriguing topic. What is the next step? I am uncertain about what comes after. As a matter of fact, I am feeling content and satisfied with the current situation. I truly enjoy not knowing what will happen next. I believe there is a thrill in this existence. To be honest, I don't judge anyone, but I don't understand those who make plans until they reach the age of 70 years old and beyond. I believe that the optimal strategy is occasionally a vision, and subsequently, everything has the potential to unfold in various ways. I appreciate your unique and out of the ordinary lecture. This is the entirety of my distinctive and out of the ordinary lecture.